During World War II, survival wasn't only decided by bullets and bombs, it was decided by heat, hunger and silence. A single mistake at mealtime could wipe out an entire unit. Smoke rising above the trees, firelight flickering after sunset, the smell of food drifting just far enough to alert enemy patrols. For soldiers behind enemy lines, partisans in occupied forests and units on the move, cooking could be more dangerous than combat. Yet they still needed hot food to fight, march and survive. What saved them wasn't a weapon or a vehicle, but a nearly forgotten piece of wartime ingenuity, the Fireless cooking box. A silent cooker that used no flame, no smoke and almost no fuel. It kept troops fed while keeping them hidden. And the same method that worked in 1943 still works today for survivalists, preppers and off-grid living. If you value real history, real survival knowledge, and the forgotten techniques that kept people alive when conditions were at their worst, take a moment to like this video, share it with fellow history enthusiasts, leave a comment, and subscribe to Warcraft Survival. Now let's get straight into the knowledge that mattered then and still matters now. The Fireless cooker didn't start in war. It began in ordinary homes long before the first shots of World War II were fired. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, families used what was known as the haybox cooker to save fuel. Firewood, coal and kerosene were expensive, so people learned to boil food briefly and then insulate it heavily, allowing trapped heat to finish the cooking process. The concept was simple, but it worked. When war came, military planners immediately saw the value. Armies moving through hostile territory couldn't afford constant fires. Every flame was a signal. Every plume of smoke was an invitation to be targeted. The Fireless cooker offered a solution that was invisible, efficient and reliable. By the early 1940s, variations of it were used by German, British, Soviet and American forces in different forms, from insulated chests to thermal containers built into field kitchens. Modern people often underestimate how dangerous cooking was in wartime conditions. A unit that stayed hidden all day could be exposed in minutes by careless food preparation. Smoke could be seen for miles in open terrain. Firelight at night destroyed darkness discipline. Even the sound of chopping wood or moving pots could alert enemy scouts. In resistance movements and partisan warfare, the danger was even greater. Fighters often lived deep in forests or abandoned structures. Lighting a fire could bring enemy patrols directly to them. Yet hunger weakens decision-making, morale and physical endurance. Cold food alone wasn't enough. The Fireless cooker allowed food to be cooked once, quickly, and then hidden away to finish without risk. The brilliance of the Fireless cooker lay in its understanding of heat retention. Instead of constantly adding heat, it trapped what was already there. Field cooks brought stews, beans, rice or porridge to a strong rolling boil for about 10 to 15 minutes. This initial heat killed bacteria and started the cooking process properly. The pot, sealed tightly with a lid, was then placed inside a container packed with dense insulation. Hay, straw, wool, sawdust, blankets or felt were commonly used. The insulation prevented heat from escaping, keeping temperatures high enough to continue cooking for hours. Inside the box, the food simmered slowly in its own heat. No flame, no smoke, no light. This method relied on mass and insulation. Large pots stayed hot longer. Dense, dry insulation worked better than loose material. The tighter the seal and the less air circulation inside, the more effective the cooker became. Not every meal worked, but many staples were ideal. Beans, lentils, rice, barley, potatoes, soups and stews cooked exceptionally well. Tough cuts of meat became tender. Grains absorbed liquid evenly. The slow cooking improved flavour while conserving fuel. Field kitchens often prepared food early in the day or just before nightfall. Pots were briefly heated, sealed, and placed into insulated boxes or crates. These were then loaded onto wagons or trucks. Hours later, sometimes after long marches, soldiers stopped and ate hot food without lighting a single fire. This technique isn't outdated. It's a practical survival skill. A modern fireless cooker can be made using a sturdy box, cooler, or container. The interior should be packed with thick insulation, such as straw, shredded paper, old clothing, towels, or blankets. The pot must have a tight-fitting lid. Bring your food to a full boil, ensuring it's hot enough to begin proper cooking. Immediately place the sealed pot into the insulated container. Pack insulation tightly around it, eliminating empty air spaces. Close the lid and leave it undisturbed for 3 to 4 hours. When opened, the food should be fully cooked and still hot. This method reduces fuel use dramatically, avoids smoke, and allows cooking in situations where visibility or stealth matters. In off-grid living, emergencies, fuel shortages, or discreet outdoor cooking, the fireless cooker remains one of the most efficient systems ever devised. It requires no electricity, minimal fuel, and almost no maintenance. Modern thermal cookers are simply refined versions of the same wartime principle. Tests consistently show fuel savings of up to 70%. For historians, it represents battlefield ingenuity. For survivalists, it's a tool of quiet resilience. The fireless cooking box proves that survival doesn't always depend on advanced technology. Sometimes it depends on understanding heat, patience, and discipline. The fireless cooker is more than a historical curiosity. It's living survival science born in wartime and still relevant today. Soldiers trusted it with their lives, their strength, and their concealment. That alone tells you everything you need to know about its value. If you appreciate learning about the real methods that shaped survival in history and can still serve you today, make sure you're subscribed to Warcraft Survival. Share this with fellow history lovers and preparedness-minded viewers. Keep this knowledge alive, because the quietest tools often make the biggest difference.